So Donald Trump goes to the Capitol Hill. Donald Trump goes to Capitol Hill trying to make nice with the Republicans. One guy stands up to him, Jeff Flake stands up to him in the Senate, but the Congress loved him. Guess who introduced him in Congress? He had someone introduce him. One of his financial advisors, advising him economically on his campaign. You know who that is? Larry Kudlow. From Kudlow and Larry Kudlow from CNBC introduced Donald Trump in a nice way. He was like his liaison to the congressional Republicans. That happened. So now Kudlow goes on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd. And boy, I bet Chuck Todd's really going to let him have it because we all know that Donald Trump is ruining our country, right? Our country's burning now. It's a garbage fire. It's a dumpster fire. What this guy's doing, and, you know, the news media at some point have to stand up to him. Chuck Todd decided to stop letting him call in. So there you go. MSNBC still airs his speeches live and unfact-checked. CNN, MSNBC, both aired Trump's speech yesterday live and unfact-checked for 50 minutes. They let his kid talk. His kid talked, too.
No.
Live, uninterrupted, his kid. They did not cut away. On CNN, anyway. Let his kid talk. Uninterrupted. Not fact-checked. So the press is complicit in the destruction of America if you consider Donald Trump to be the destruction of America, which I do. And so he gets Kudlow on the show. Here's the guy who introduced Donald Trump. He's one of his economic advisors, and he works for his parent company, NBC News. So you think Chuck Todd's going to really give it to him. Here's what he says to him. Here's what Chuck Todd says to him.
Let me join by CNBC senior contributor Larry Kudlow, who introduced Mr. Trump to House Republicans at today's meeting on Capitol Hill. Larry Kudlow, always good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.
So, our description of the House meeting and the Senate meeting, I got to ask you about the Senate meeting. What happened there? The description I got, one where...
So he doesn't go, hey, by the way, what the fuck is wrong with you? By the way, how can you even stand to be in the same room with that creep? You're working for him? You're trying to make things nice for him? What's wrong with you? Like, he doesn't say that. Like, hey, by the way, people criticize the press for normalizing Trump. What the fuck is wrong with you? Hey, you know, I let Trump phone into my show for almost a year, and I'm embarrassed by it, but what the fuck is wrong with you, Larry? So you don't care about any. So again, these people don't care about anything. They pretend to care about Christian values. By the way, if Newt Gingrich is his vice president, which people are saying Donald Trump will pick him for the vice president, 6 marriages between them. 6 marriages between them.
12 affairs.
And how many affairs, right? And how many rapes? And so again, they don't care about... Larry Kudlow, you're going to get behind Donald Trump. What a traitor to our country you are. Right? And that's not what Chuck Todd says. Chuck Todd's just like, hey, let's talk about baseball. Hey, what happened when you went there? How did it go? So when no one will stand up to you're supposed to stand up to people at some point. I know Chuck doesn't think so because, you know, he thinks he's supposed to be neutral, which you're not. You're supposed to be objective. Those are two totally different things. Objectively, you could go, hey, Larry, how do you sleep at night? Did you see the guy with doing the anti-Semitism all week, and he's doubling down on it? He's injecting anti-Semitism back into our culture. He's injecting racism into our culture. This is the guy you're getting behind? The guy who debases the whole political process? It turned into a schoolyard taunting? The guy who doesn't know his asshole from a hole in the ground when it comes to policy? What's wrong with you, Larry? No, it's just another side. Trump's just another. Again, that's how they're carved. You talk about how do you normalize Trump. This is how you normalize Trump. By Chuck Todd going, hey, we're just going to pretend like he's any other politician. We're just going to pretend. And here's a guy who's helping him. Well, I'm going to talk. Hey, so tell me, what happened up there at the Senate? It didn't go as good as you hoped it would, huh? So he's got let's see.
Policy focused, one a little more personality focused, fair description?
Yes and no. Look, the House Republican side was policy driven.
maybe because that's the way I introduce the session. Okay, I've done a lot of work with the House Republicans, and I've moderated things from time to time.
And sometimes I introduce racists, and I know how to do it.
And I kind of walk through.
You know, guys who have shit on the military, people who have captured our prisoners of war. Jim, you know the prisoners of war? You know the guy who shits on prisoners of war? That guy. I know how to introduce him. That guy. That guy who said we should kill the families of our enemies? That guy. Yeah, I know how to introduce him.
Here are the issues we face. Just looks to me like there's very little daylight between Mr. Trump and the Republican conference. I think most people agree with that.
And by the way, they're all on the same page with this guy. This guy who pretty much everyone agrees is a maniac who has absolutely zero grasp of policy. We're all on the same. There's no daylight. The Republicans are Donald Trump. You hear it.
Thus, they have zero.
So whenever they try to pretend they're family values or they care about law and order or anything else, they don't. Because they're backing a thug who incites violence. They're backing a guy who is a misogynist, who's a blatant racist of the highest order, who can't help himself but retweet racist white nationalists. This is the guy you're getting behind. This is the guy.
And they're all on the same page.
And they're all on the same page, by the way. They're all on the same page with him. Not like, well, of course we're all disgusted. Of course we're all just, none of that. No, it's great.
I had a guy stand up, not going to name any names, but he said he really was totally against Trump in the primaries, and now he's totally in favor of Trump. And it really was a unity meeting. Paul Ryan, I think Speaker Ryan echoed the same thing. So it was quite good. Senate side.
I'm glad he didn't name names on a news show.
Well, I'm sure glad he didn't name names. So it was everybody was happy, and everybody likes Trump. That's your party. So how does Larry Kudlow? This is how he justifies getting behind this guy, the biggest creep. So I can't think of a better word actually. Here we go.
A dangerous creep.
So here's how Larry Kudlow justifies. That's how he sleeps at night. Ready?
And everybody who was in these meetings today is going to be delegate, and I think all but just a couple are going to wind up being for Trump. And look, Chuck, I'm not a political guy. I'm a tax cut guy. Yeah. I want better economy, better wages. Mr. Trump's done a very good job on that. I want lower spending, and I actually want some free trade as long as we police it.
So it's like, hey, look, I'm not a political guy. Hitler makes the trains run on time. Okay? He makes the trains run on time. He gets things done. I like the way the economy's going. He's ramping up our economy. He's doing a lot of demand economy. He's pumping money into our military sector. That's good for me. That's what he's saying. Hey, look, so that's his way to get out of all that stuff. Hey, I don't know. I don't pay attention. People say he's racist, anti-Semitist. He's a misogynist. He says Mexicans are rapists. He wants 1/3 of the world's population to be banned from our country on a religious test. Listen, I don't pay attention to any of that. I just care about the numbers. So I know Hitler, he's got some people in a camp. I don't know what they're doing. But listen, I got to tell you, his numbers really line up. Hitler's numbers really line up. So these guys are just scum of the earth. Larry Kudlow, scum of the earth. Scum of the earth. To use your position, all the money in the world, too, by the way, Larry Kudlow. He's had all the money in the world. You don't need any more money. So why wouldn't you fight for your country instead of propping up a guy like that? So he uses all his money, all his power, all his influence to prop up that instead of work against it. And that's why they're scum of the earth. And so this is revealing them. It's revealing all the Republicans, all guys like that for who they are. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. I'm going to tell you, I like that Mussolini. The streets are clean. And I'm really a guy about clean streets. So whatever else he's doing, I don't care. And by the way, Stalin, sure, he's got some problem with some Jewish doctors, whatever. I don't pay attention, even though, I'm a Jew. Unbelievable. Talk about soulless. How about that? How about soulless? We'll call Larry Kudlow. Those guys are soulless, and they debase humanity. How about that? Can we say that? Is that okay to say? Is that over the top?
And his employer who
employer,
like
right.
this kind of stuff for the ratings.
That's right. Oh, he works for a station that plays Trump's video, his speeches unedited and unfact checked. So you wonder why people get their news from YouTube.